Hello and welcome everyone to LCS Challengers League presented by Subway. We're just starting off week number 3, day number 2. So welcome, come along for the ride. My name is Eric Desarux Beltran. I'll be one of your casts for the day. The other one, of course, looking fantastic in that jacket. By the way, it's going to be Beatdown Boulevard. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. And I gotta say, I really love the way, I love your last name. It just sounds great. It hits every time I hear it. Yeah, I can't do the rolling R's thing, but either way, I'm good. This is me in a long-winded way saying I'm good, Eric. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I'm more concerned about you because you're doing double duty. You had to cast yesterday, too.
It's light work, man. For a guy like me, like, don't worry about it. Like, I could cast it yesterday, today, tomorrow. Production, that's a joke. Don't make me do that. But anyways... Yeah.
Anyways, let's actually get into things. Why don't we? Yeah?
Why don't we?
Yeah, so let's get up the standings to see how things have been shaping up so far. FlyQuest, of course, being in your first place spot. That's going to be no surprise there. Maryville have been putting in the heavy hands as of lately, beat down to actually stick up there as well.
Yeah, Maryville have been a very pleasant surprise. I mean, FlyQuest, we're going to see them on the day. I have a feeling they're going to stay in first place, but, you know, nothing's decided until the Nexuses explode. But yesterday was a really exciting day because we saw the likes of TL and Lit jump up 3 spaces each after a pretty convincing victory from both of them. So expect a lot of movement as the days go on because of how kind of lopsided some of these schedules are.
Yeah, the schedule can feel a little bit weird at times, but it's one round robin. You got to give it your best shot every single series that comes up. And speaking of the series coming up, it's going to be Fear versus FlyQuest. That'll be our first match of the day. Following it right after will be AoE versus TLC. We got to pull up our rosters, starting with Cincinnati Fear.
That's such a banger.
Wow, they actually went for it, man. I love it. I love it so much. The Grim Reapers are calling.
Yeah, you love it. And this is a team that, I mean, this is an org that's had so much success in Tier 2 NA as a whole. 4th place in playoffs, both splits last year. And now with a big roster shakeup, they are still looking pretty solid so far. Most exciting player for me is Toasty in that mid lane. Very young, but still showing a lot of promise with the champ pool and how well he can play them all.
Toasty has definitely been absolutely fantastic. This entire team is an interesting little mix that we're seeing come together that so far, so good. Up next, their opponents will be FlyQuest Challengers. Now, this is a squad that is pretty much dead set on taking first place. A lot of tier lists have ranked this team as number 1, and it's pretty easy to see why. The power in the top side, Surdy, Shaden, Quad in the mid lane. You got the LCK games. Of course, Sajed and Chime still doing oh so well, leading a lot of these bot lane matchups.
Yeah, I mean, when you really think about it, the tier 1 time on some of this roster is definitely higher than most of the other ones. I mean, you have Chime, Quad, both playing on tier 1 teams. Shaden had some time in the LCS. 30 was supposed to be there until,
robbed, man.
He got robbed, for real. He's definitely a player who we believe deserved that next step, and now he's here to just prove it once again.
Yeah, and this is definitely going to be an interesting matchup to see. Get into what FlyQuest have been doing. I mean, we talked about Surdy a little bit earlier. They said that FlyQuest want to go on every single series and not lose a single game. And so far, it's been 2-0s across the board. You know, the 2-0 we had earlier against Disguise. They had the 2-0 against Team Liquid. It's looking great for them.
I mean, they just look like a fantastic team. You even look at the inclusion of Sajed, one of lesser experience AD carry, but has looked pretty solid so far. Another prospect that I think viewers should be really excited about, especially given some of the good moments he's had so far. And it'll be an interesting test for Fear, who I think looked pretty good in their first match. And now pretty much everyone is taking their turns, taking a swing at FlyQuest Challengers. And I think it's a good way to kind of see where a team is at, because I think we've all just agreed FlyQuest are up here. And everyone else is like here.
To head into the draft now to see if they can put that brain power to the work as we get down to this. Yeah, Sajed was one you were talking about. I do want to talk about some of the matchups Sajed has gone against. I think this is going to be the toughest one yet. Lens definitely showed a lot last summer, and Daption, of course, he showed that trophy who was boss, of course. But outside of that, still a very capable player, so I think Sajed definitely has a lot on the table to be fighting for.
Yeah, and an interesting thing, too, with, I mean, FlyQuest as a team overall have been winning so convincingly in the early to mid game. From other parts of the map too, not just bot lane. So I'm really looking to see Sajed get challenged. Not just in lane, but outside of it as well. When your team is doing so good, I'm not saying he isn't good, but we don't know what he is fully capable of until he actually kind of feels that pressure. And as long as FlyQuest are going to consistently stay so far ahead of everyone else, we won't see that maybe until later on when other teams start to catch up a little bit.
And they do want to throw down with the bot lane. As you can see, a lot of those bans coming out from FlyQuest, Seraphine, Karma, Ashe, all targeted towards the bot lane, all targeted to try and get Sajed the best success possible if you're going to lock in the Emilio.
I mean, those are also the most consistently banned red side picks at the moment. Emilio's a really nice one too, because you have that flexibility where, I mean, if they pick away Lucian and go for a Lucian Nami, you can pair with the Aphelios, you can pair with the Varus. You have a lot of options for yourself, and this champion overall is still very strong at the moment here. And FlyQuest picking up the Varus is nice too. It has been a really popular AD carry, especially with what's left, considering everything that gets banned away first rotation. And you still have the chance to go for a really dominant lane phase if you pair it with something like Renata.
So the next lock-in for FlyQuest is going to be the Cassante. That will be in the hands of Surdy. Very capable so far. We'll have a matchup against Philip this time. Philip, one of the remaining members of Fear. So we'll see what actually gets matched into that Cassante. But so far, two strong picks coming in for FlyQuest.
Absolutely. I mean, Surdy is definitely a very confident player, too. To see the Cassante pick so early is pretty funny, that you're just going to go ahead and blind it. But, I mean, it's also the safe blind that almost every top laner has gone to since this champion's release. So it ends up being blind.
All right, next lock-in, not too much of a surprise. Lucian Milio has been the combo to go to. Lens and Daption happy to grab that. What are you gasping about, B?
No, it was the sarcastic gasp. Lucian Milio, no one's ever done that before. It makes a lot of sense. And you have that opportunity as Philip to go for an answer into the Cassante early on. That's why you see the Aatrox hover. Something that has been pretty consistent. A pretty consistent answer to the Cassante, even though it has mixed results overall.
Yeah, and Philip now going into Surdy. We have that matchup pretty much set with the Cassante Aatrox, as you were mentioning. Philip, I do want to point out, this has been a team where Philip has been able to shine out the most, so going into Surdy, definitely going to be quite the test to show a lot of that growth that he's been having as he's been in the NACL. Second phase of the draft, Nico is the first one banned away, and for good reason. Toasty is a menace when he's on that champion. He
definitely is, and there is a real chance, we even saw it earlier in the LCS today, some teams are leaving mid-jungle till blue 4 and 5 and just going for that Nocturne-Nico combination. So you just want to basically remove that option in one fell swoop. And I'm curious too, because looking at this matchup for Fear, I think this team is pretty solid, and I'm a big fan of some of these pieces. But playing up against a team like FlyQuest, you really got to get the best draft that you can. And that's why I'm kind of interested to see, or rather, I think this is why we're seeing jungle picked a little later as well. There are still some really strong ones up and available, like the Zijao, and that's kind of something I want to see Chad go towards, or maybe even the Trundle, because this team, and most teams that Chad are on, do well when he has something aggressive and he has lanes he can play through that allow him to either gank or invade and things like that. And I think getting these early leads and snowballing that is going to be Fear's best chance.
Now, the sample size is really slow. Obviously, Tosi has just played one series so far, given the way the schedule does work. But in that series, it was against Mirage. Mirage did take game one. A lot of that was focusing onto Toasty, focusing in the mid lane. We're kind of getting that with the draft right now. Nico and Yone are two champions he's played on the season. The only other was Akali. So trying to limit the champion pool of Toasty that we know is pretty flexible. He, again, is a very, very exciting mid laner to see, especially when you get him around those team fights. So taking away some of those team fight champions.
Right, so he still has a couple of options here. This means that the Orianna ends up being pretty safe for quad because, like you said, the only one that's left from what we've seen so far is the Akali, and that is a really tough matchup. This comp does kind of want to go all in, though, so it's still a play that Toasty could go for. You would have pressure inside, and you still have the ability to dive the backline, but it really depends on what jungle is going to be looking like. Instead, the Azir I actually think would be pretty good. I'm wondering, too, if we actually do end up seeing the Trundle, because even though they're leaving the jungle until the last pick, got to imagine it's probably going to be something AD when we think about what is best and available so far. Jarvan's fine too. Something aggressive to take advantage of this mid and bot lane where you are not very mobile, easy to CC, easy to gank. So that's what I want to see here from Chad.
Yeah, that's the big thing I was going to mention right now. It's like Varus, Where's your mobility?
Yeah.
You know, if you use Flash, it is gone. Same thing with Orianna. You only get the dissonance. You're standing on top of it to get that movement speed boost. So the J4 can be quite impactful towards those lanes you were mentioning. Does give us the full picture of what Fear are going for, especially having that protection of the Azir. The Emperor's Divide can do a lot to protect this backline alongside the Melio, which is very nice for Fear to have defensive options here. But this final hover, they are looking at the Nocturne, and that is going to be the lock-in for Shaden.
So this is a very interesting one there, because this is kind of what I was alluding to before, but instead of the Nico, it's the Ori, another strong pairing. So this means that you do have a lot of backline access. You have a dive buddy in the Nautilus, because that's the thing I don't like about some teams in various Tier 1 regions, where they will pick the Nocturne with the Orianna, but there is no other dive buddy. Everything is hinging on that combination. But now Chime also has the ability to CC, to all in, and help actually secure these kills and set up Sajed for success. Fear, though, they still have a lot of teamfight tools. They have a lot of early game tools and push, at least in that bottom lane. So I'm wondering how Chad is going to support this bottom lane and what kind of impact he's going to have early on, because you're against Nocturne.
Yeah.
He's farming till 6. There isn't a whole lot that he is likely going to do unless a really good opportunity presents itself. So Chad has that opportunity to get the lead that I think Fear needs.
And that's what I wanted to point out, bringing the conversation over Chad as we head on to the Rift right now. Chad is that jungler who wants to fight early. He is the most likely to go to level 2 and instantly start ganking a lane the moment he's able to. And J4 does play to that. J4 only needs level 2 to get both the Demacian Standard, the Flag and Drag, to find that knockup. So I want to see what Chad's going to do in this early game as our team starts spreading out.
Right now, early on, not seeing anything too exciting take place. Like you said, Deserex, we are keeping our eyes on Chad. This is Fear. We've only played one series. It was a victory, but they have a very tough opponent ahead of them. And starting this game 1 on the right foot is going to be so important, and that's what I'm looking for this J4. I am expecting that top side start, because you have that bottom lane that is pushing, and I'm curious what Shaden is going to do, how he is going to respond if that invade actually comes through.
If he doesn't go for the invade, then maybe attacking another lane. We talked about how immobile the mid lane is, how immobile the bottom lane is. Could be an area to focus. For Sajed, for example, we were talking a lot about him before the season even really started. Reminds us a lot of Masu, right? Not just because he's a hyped ADC, but because he finds these very creative angles to approach a lot of these fights. The biggest concern was going to be the laning for Sajed and how well he can do that. I want to see if Chad is going to try and disrupt that laning and see if Fear can find an attack angle through that.
I gotta say, I like the ward Quad had placed, or actually I think it was Shaden who placed it in that top rush. Chad, very well known for the level 2 ganks when he's playing champions like the J4. And even if it's not happening now, I do want to see it play mid lane at some point too, around the time when mid laners get to level 4. It's a really good way to set up the Azir for a shuffle play while the Orianna flashes down. And that's kind of how you can generate a lead in that lane, even though it is Orianna favored in isolation.
There it is. The level 2 coming up means you can take advantage of the laning situation here. Lens and Daption are positioning up, getting a little zoning onto Sajed and Chime. Both junglers will be pathing towards this bottom side, and you can even see pings coming out, potentially from Shaden going towards that bush, trying to ping out where that ward is.
Yeah, Lens and Daption trying to slow stack this wave in hopes of getting a pretty big crash so that they likely won't be able to do anything about this invade. Because I see Chad, he skipped the Raptors, he did his top side into the red buff. Okay, no, actually, he's not going to just invade. Nah, he's just going to go ahead and do his dance. So maybe we won't actually end up seeing that come through. But, I mean, this is Chad we're talking about. A player who we've seen in around the Tier 2 scene for quite a while. A player who is very exciting to watch because he plays these J4s, his Zhaos and things like that, and is always so good.
The Rengar too, right?
Yeah, and he's always looking to scrap it out early. He will, if he has priority, if he has opportunities to take something away from the opponent, look for a kill or something along those lines. He will always take those opportunities for better or worse.
Yeah, Chad is a bit of a mad scientist when it comes to the jungle role. But with the ward coming out from Chime, it is going to spot out where Chad is. Ooh, they couldn't sweep it in time. One more auto could have gotten rid of that. Shaden has prio on the river. We'll be able to take the scuttle, and Chad's going to be empty-handed.
More than that, because of what just happened, Shaden has an opportunity to just double crab him, which is really unfortunate when you're playing against something like the Nocturne. Getting that bit of an experience lead, getting him that much closer to 6 is so important. And when we had established Fear needed to get something going early on, right now, FlyQuest are really happy at the moment. They're chilling, lanes just going quietly, no real fights happening in this early game. It really does favor them. So still, eyes are going to be on Cincinnati Fear to see what they're going to be able to do.
You see Toasty's getting the better of some of the scrapping in the mid lane. Still farming well is going to be Toasty, but Quad is not going to let up. There's a lot of that harassment in as both junglers begin to rotate around the mid lane. Mostly just Chad as Shaden heads up over towards the top side. Quad now potentially looking for a kill. 100 health remaining on Toasty. He'll have to take a recall.
They're just forced out of the lane, hits the sad B mode, and it does get that advantage there for Quad, especially if he's able to get this lane pushed in and have the ability to walk back to lane, not actually commit the teleport. He'll have that advantage over Toasty. And it's just good laning overall. And it comes from that vision they had topside as well, both in and out of Chad's jungle, just to make sure Quad can't get ganked and keep that lane in isolation. And it's paid off.
You can see some of the trouble going down in the bot lane right there. If you go in, now Chime does get that hook. The Melio can peel off quite quickly, and the damage that comes in from the Lucian does stack up quite quickly as Toasty goes forward onto Quad. Both junglers going to meet over here towards the river. Shaden smells that something might be up as the ward does reveal that Chad is in that location. Here comes the chase.
Quad is level 6.
It's going to be Shaden flashing over the wall. Chad doesn't want to take it. Quad, as you said, level 6, so the shockwave is available. Toasty trying to find his way out. Ooh, it is pure darkness as first blood is grabbed by Shaden.
That is really bad for Cincinnati Fear, but a nice play coming through from Shaden and Quad, and that is part of the payoff from getting the advantage we saw mid lane, forcing Toasty to back, giving that experience lead coming through. So it means easy grubs. Because Shaden is topside as well, you see Surdy has the confidence to go ahead and force this 1v1 that he's going for on the bot, on the top side. And because of that, Shaden can actually help set up this dive. Look at Philip. His health is pretty low, and either they go for the kill or they force him away from the turret. Either way, win-win.
Yeah, this feels terrible for Philip. Look at the summoners. He doesn't have teleport. It is on cooldown right now, so if he's zoned away, you're losing XP, you're losing creeps. Ooh, they deny a bit of the wave to him, but Philip, at least the wiser to knowing that the gank was coming, will just peel off and now get some time back with his lane.
Yeah, and it also means that lane will be pushing back towards 30, so that's why you see Philip trying to push this in as quickly as he can, and why 30 actually canceled his recall. But overall, I mean, this is a good game state for FlyQuest. They don't really care about Drake stacking just because mid to late game looks good for them, so by getting that early kill, getting those early grubs, and then going back to this quiet, slow sort of game that's been happening at the moment here in Game 1 means that FlyQuest are in a really good position. I mean, there's still pressure on Fear. Once Chad gets level 6, we'll have another opportunity to make something happen with the Cataclysm, but it's been a quiet game from him.
Now, you're speaking about level 6s. Shaden just got his level 6, and
scary.
A little bit of scrap going down over in the bottom lane. That is where our attention is going to be, though. Where does Shaden put this paranoia down? Yeah. That first paranoia can be so impactful in the early game.
It can. And it is such a big deal, too, because Shaden's the one who got first blood. Oh, hold on. Okay, there you go.
Okay.
He's just going to back it up. But it is a big deal, too, because the fact that he got first blood being a champion who generally wants to just chill and farm to 6 has got to be a great feeling as well. And now you have that Nocturne Orianna combination, and right now Chad may be in trouble.
Oh, that feels terrible. Yeah, not able to secure right now. Here comes the paranoia right on to Chad. There is no escape. There's no way out. Shaden, kill number 2.
Oh my, the snowball is rolling in favor of FlyQuest, because now, because Chad's off the map, Shaden got another kill. He's going to be able to steal away this blue buff. He might be able to do more. I mean, look at topside. 30 has it pushed in. Quadus had been cryoed this entire game. And Fear are just on the struggle bus right now.
Yeah, think about how much you're losing if you're Chad right now. I mean, you spent all that time trying to get the red buff. You're not even given that. Now in the top side, Surdy is just going to go for the solo kill against Philip. Philip is critically low. It's time to leave, brother, because Shaden is in the area.
Good news, Chad has just ticked over to level 6. So unless... Yeah, okay. Actually, it empowers Philip to go ahead and walk back to this lane. There's an angle.
It's very risky right now. Chad trying to defend his top laner.
Yeah.
His presence is enough to dissuade it. You get caught out by the Cataclysm. I mean, not really escaping that when you're underneath the tower. Flashes are burnt away.
Yeah, the point there was just so that Philip can actually interact with this wave, because there was already so much attention from Shaden earlier. Had he dropped that whole wave, Philip would have basically just been out of the game there. So it's really good of Chad to be able to cover for his top laner like that. But this is still overall a really difficult game for Cincinnati Fear. I mean, they haven't been able to Drake stack. They lost their first skirmish for the Grubs, and now they really don't have any advantage to speak of. Bot lane has been going even. Mid and top have been middling to losing. So there isn't really very many options aside from forcing something.
And what's terrifying to me is Shaden having 2 kills. Shaden has been that guy that if you give him kills, he will be the carry jungler. He will try and just steal the stage, and that's what we're seeing right now. 2-0 currently up on a Nocturne. His cooldown is just coming off. So that means we might see another Paranoia soon and beat down.
And it's a really scary thought, too, because that's part of what's making it so hard. Yeah, it's so hard for Fear to actually go for this Drake, even if they find an opportunity. If they're spotted on any vision, and as long as Quad is on the map, Shaden can join from several screens away, which means that at this point, Shaden just knows he can go ahead and start this dragon if he wants to. Chad is in the area, but look at Chime. He's already on the move. Team and Sajed look like they are trying to dissuade this play from actually going down. They want to start it.
Danger right there. Paranoia comes out, and Chad is in trouble. Has to get out of this. Will get hit by the depth charge. Finds himself to safety. Still has a splash available. Maybe a chance to try and steal away the dragon. Yes! Chad will be able to secure it. Teleport coming through. Top laner is going to arrive as Philip over the wall will make a little dash to go after Shaden. Emperor's Divide comes out. Only going to catch Chime, but that's all you needed for Toasty. He'll be able to get that. Flashes out of the shockwave in time from Quad. And Fear are going to go 1-up on top of a Dragon Steel.
That's a successful play. This means that now Fear have that Drake stacking as an option. It's a little later than they may have hoped, but it's great for them because this started out with a Chad being caught out. But you have the Breath of Life, the amazing disengage that comes through from this Milio means that you have the opportunity to go in. All your tools for FlyQuest are used up, and Chad with the Q Smite, beautifully timed, makes that opportunity that we saw. And to top it all off, even though it's a little early from what we've seen for top laners to join, Philip does commit himself and his teleport. He doesn't do much, but it gives that space so that Fear can keep going forward, keep chasing down the 1 kill they ended up getting. So that is a big win, especially now that Chad can get these grubs.
They can get these grubs and deny the 6 grub stacking that could have come out from Shaden if that battle went awry. And goodness gracious, I mean, Chad needed to make up for some of that early game that was going so poorly for him. That's one way to do it. Just find one of those missteps coming out from Shaden. Didn't respect the fact that you can flag and drag away from that disengage. You can still buffer it. Now Chad standing in the area. It's Shaden who's going to secure the Void Grubs for himself.
Yep.
Chad's just happy to steal one away.
He really wanted that second one. Had that smite actually worked, he would have denied FlyQuest getting the 5 stacks, but unfortunately they did, and now Chad is in trouble.
Paranoia going to be used once more right onto Chad. Shaden will find a killing spree in the opposing jungle.
Oh my god!
Yeah, Toasty, that is Quad. One of the most hyped up in the mid lane. Those LCK games, baby. Toasty feeling it.
And even though Fear had a good play going for them, FlyQuest are the ones who end up coming out on top again. 2 successful plays on 2 different parts of the map. Make it 3. 30 with the solo bolo. Says, I'm over game 1. Let's just keep it pushing to game 2.
The solo lanes of FlyQuest are swinging. It might be the duo lanes as well, forcing out the Breath of Life. Depth charge comes through. And you can see FlyQuest individually have come to play.
They sure have, SRX and Fear. They are in shambles at the moment. Really, no lane you can play for, no opportunity that you can take besides, again, like I said before, something forced. And bot lane ends up being that play. Both ults were used by Sajid and Chime, so Chad actually have a decent shot here.
All right, Sache tries to flash out, but again, you have that Cataclysm. It's going to be 1 kill found by Fear. Calling in Shaden. Chime's trying to buy time. Able to get the root underneath the tower. Shaden is still here, but his teammates have fallen. Fear find a successful play in the bot lane.
A really successful play. You're able to actually get a real lead there onto Lens. It cost him both the summoner spells, but Sajed and Chime were taken off the map. They are denied, I think, 2 waves of gold and experience too. So that is some get back for Fear, but they need successful plays like that to keep happening.
Yeah.
What made it work was that there was no paranoia and Shaden couldn't make the big play. But now that it's back up, you're suddenly in Fear. No pun intended. So Cincinnati Fear still have their work cut out for them. They still need to do more if we want to start talking about them having a chance.
I mean, if Chad wants to continue focusing onto this bottom lane, it's definitely an angle you can take now that the flash is down. Same thing can be said in the mid lane. Quad doesn't have his flash as well, so a lot of vital flashes being burnt away. Gives a lot of use to this Cataclysm if you're able to land it on them. But now an invade coming out from FlyQuest. Starts sneaking around. Chad did get some vision onto the Nautilus.
Uh-oh.
He's got to know that Chime's here. Doesn't realize that
Oh
Shaden is here
God.
as well. And in the blink of an eye, he's gone, man.
I mean, it's really good. You love to see it from FlyQuest. It's nice and clean. Just recognizing that Chad, that's an illegal move, being in your own side of the map, and it gives
How
them
dare you.
dominion over this bottom side. Yes, for real. And because they got that red buff, they're able to go for this Drake if they want to. I mean, Shaden is going for this recall, but I think he's just messing around. There's still 20 seconds to the Drake, and even though this is not an ideal recall timer, FlyQuest are smashing this game. They can do whatever they want, whenever they want.
Yeah. That's all I can really say to that. They're the most dominant team that we have in the league thus far. Looking for that undefeated season. Looking to take the entirety of the NECL. FlyQuest members that they have picked up in both Shaden and Surdy from Evil Geniuses. That was great.
Right.
Finding some great prospects, such as Sajed. And now setting up for this dragon. They're going to chase away Cincinnati Fear. Chad doesn't even want to contest it.
No, that is beyond illegal and not okay. So they're just going to have to walk away as soon as that teleport comes through, even if it didn't. It just means that now the soul stacking that was a dream for Fear has been crushed, and they're unfortunately waking to a nightmare. Because now it's going to be the Rift Herald. Now it's going to be more turrets falling, and it's more camps. I like this too, where they aren't just going for these objectives. They're going for the invades. They're trying to see what they can find, who they can find.
Not just going for
like
these
it's Chad.
objectives. They're going for Chad, man, over and over. Now that Shaden has this much strength and he's able to link up with Chime, jungle support in your face all the time. Good luck. Good luck. This jungle really doesn't belong to Chad anymore. Now Toasty finds the shuffle against
Ooh,
Quad.
nice.
Quad is isolated. An alley-oop to fill up and a shutdown found by Toasty.
Very much needed. That is a nice amount of gold coming through here, but it's not enough. Unfortunately, those are the only plays available to you as Cincinnati Fear. You do this, you want to play away from this Nocturne, which is the correct decision. It's just going to be hard to continuously getting these catch-outs. Eventually, it is going to come down to a fight, especially if we get to a point where Soul is on the table for FlyQuest, considering the dominion they have on this bottom side of the map. Back to your point, too, about Shaden and Surdy, both players on Evil Genius Challengers. Shaden being a player that, you talked to Kelsey Moser, which a lot of us did last year about him. How excited she was for him as a player, how much they built that team around him, and around the idea that he would get to share LCS time eventually, which he did.
And I mean, this was a player that we definitely hyped up a lot back in previous seasons. It was exciting to see him get that call up. No, it's unfortunate that things went down the way they did. Esports winner is very, very cold, but
Very sad.
definitely very, very capable players on the side of FlyQuest, what they picked up so far. Now Surdy kind of isolating down into this bottom lane, will be able to take this tower by himself. FlyQuest kind of having their way with this map, and not much of a response really found by Fear as they kind of dance around the map looking for their next plan of attack.
That's because there isn't one. But again, right now, Shaden is too strong. He's 4-0, really close to that second item, Eric. So it means that any play you make, you have to be out of paranoia range. And that means that it has to be on Deserti on the other side of the map at the moment here, depending on these lane assignments. But it's hard because Cassante, he's very tanky right now at 2 items and change. He has the Ghost, so it means that even if Fear commit a lot, there's a decent chance Deserti gets to walk away. So you're basically waiting for an opportunity where Quad is the one isolated. He's the one in the 4-1, if you will. And those are the only really plays we've seen work.
And some of the hope you're going to have if you're a Fear fan is going to be on Toasty. Toasty, phenomenal player during the scouting combines. He looked absolutely fantastic, but one of the big things that stood out was his team play. That's why his Nico was so fine. He would find these creative angles to absolutely decimate a team. It seems that FlyQuest might be the wiser to that because they're starting to target Toasty. He's by himself. Ooh, gets pulled in by the shockwave, and your answer has now gone silent.
Wow, I mean, I agree with what you've been saying there about Toasty. This is a hard game for him to play. With the Nocturne, this Fed, and that Nocturne Orianna combo, you have such a small time to react before you lose all of your health and you instantly die. So it's going to have to take an incredible amount of vision to avoid plays like that. Otherwise, more than likely, if you're alone in the side lane, you're just going to die. Plain and simple. And I mean, Shaden could just continue taking away camps from Chad and continue this gold experience lead he's got for himself.
It's such a hellish combo. That Paranoia Shockwave. You have such little time to react, as you were mentioning earlier. Like, the moment you see Shaden on you, you got to press the flash, man, because that ball has to be falling soon, especially if it's coming out of Fog of War.
The crazy thing is, the moment the lights turn out, if you're by yourself, is when you probably need to flash. But when you cast the ult from as close as he did, again, reaction time, you have such a limited window. So just now, Fear, they're going to try and get whatever vision they can top side. They know bottom side is not their domain. Dragons, they got their first dragon in their last one with that Infernal one, meaning they're just going to get Scuttle, lay down whatever wards they can on around this Baron, just to see if FlyQuest go for some kind of Baron take, because they're so strong right now. If they committed all members to the Baron, they could just start it.
They could really take whatever they want on the map, and it seems like Dragon is going to be the more keen objective, more because of this vision setup that's going on the bottom side. And this vision setup is less about the objective control and more about vision denial, so they can keep doing plays like they have been with this Orianna Nocturne combo.
And I like that they are trying to continuously pressure Chad. Something I like about Chad. I may need to hold that thought, Lens.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry, you're on the map. That's not allowed.
Nope. Goodbye. Simple as that. The lights go out. Your health bar has run out.
Yeah, play safe, by the way. The really, really cool combo coming through there. Lens is, I'm sure, feeling really great about what just happened. And that's an instant Baron start for FlyQuest
What's the
Challengers.
counterplay? Just don't leave the spawn, man.
Yeah, literally.
Oh, Philip comes from behind the Baron pit, taking that Hex Gate, but Surdy is going to go forward on the rest of the team. Only 3 members of Fear there to try and hold the line against Surdy. They are getting some chip damage, and Toasty is able to get some work, and Surdy is going to have not the healthiest time going forward here. We'll still try and take the play over to the face of Fear, but Toasty, unchecked so far, will find his first kill. That's 1 pick coming out for Fear. They'll stop the Baron.
Wow, so they forced them off. It's really good there for Fear. They at least buy themselves a little more time and the opportunity to get this mid-tier 1 turret, the objective bounty, which is a little extra gold that they so desperately need. And we're seeing bits of how Fear might be able to make this game happen for them. And it's the fact that if the Nocturne Orianna combo isn't available, if those 2 ults are out of the picture, it's really possible to play these fights out a little slower and actually get to maximize some of the damage that you have here with the Lucian, with the Azir. So that's basically what you're banking on for the rest of the game. Shaden and Quad need to get as little as possible with this combination, and then maybe Fear can win a fight.
I mean, if Toasty can be protected, can be safe, you know, as you mentioned, that combo cannot touch him, I feel okay for Fear's chances right now. It's not great. You're still down about 5k, but I feel okay for the way they're able to take these fights. Okay. Still, though, you see the setup that's coming out from FlyQuest. Again, with the vision denial. Again, taking away everything, taking away all that sight from Fear, because this is the rinse and repeat. Nocturne, Orianna, take someone out, take the game.
And it's tough. Fear have to move and commit so many members just to clear out just this preliminary vision. And now they have to very carefully poke and prod just to make sure FlyC are actually off of the map, actually recalling, so that they actually get their turn to clear out some of this vision and get some sight on the map. Because it has been a tough one for them. And you can see at any given point if the opportunity's there. And Shaden and Quad, they'll be waiting in a bush. Or Shaden and Chime. Shaden and anybody. This man is 5-0, has 2+ items. This game is about him. In fact, oh, look at that. It's Quad and Shaden in the lead. So even if you take down one, Quad does a lot.
I mean, Shaden's pretty well built. Same thing with Quad. What are you going to do against this? If you stop it, I mean, think about it, right? The Fog of War, you're not just worrying about them. Chime can come out of that Fog of War, right? The Chain of Corruptions can come out of that Fog of War. This is a battle for vision. This really is for Fear. They have to have some level of confidence going forward, and they can't be too isolated, especially some of these carries when they're going into the jungle, or even when they're going a little bit too forward out of lane, as we saw earlier with Lens. But now FlyQuest having absolute control of this Baron side.
Right, there's one ward that Fear managed to sneak into the river, so they will have a decent idea if the Baron does get started. So that is something that's nice for them, to allow them to, I mean, farm on their bottom side. Get some gold in via, like, wave. So you're seeing Philip push on the bottom side, for example. So at least it gives you a chance to reach some of these item spikes. I mean, most of Fear have reached that 2-item break point. So they, as long as they can get through that mid-jungle combo there from FlyQuest, they have an opportunity in these fights to get some serious damage done. I mean, look at Lens. For everything that's been happening so far, he's kept up pretty well with Sajed. You can see in terms of itemization, they're close, basically equal there. And once he gets that third item, which I got to imagine is the LDR, will be a lot of damage, even against someone like Surdy.
The scaling of Toasty on top of that can really shine through as this game goes on. Banshee's Veil's there, so you at least have some answer for this combo that's coming through. I believe the Paranoia should land first, so you're not going to block the Shockwave if that does land. So that's still a lot of damage that can take you out, but at least there's some protection now for Toasty. Because again, this Azir can scale very, very well into the late game and can be huge in these team fights. That is Toasty's main point. He's great at team fighting. He's great at finding angles. That is one of the liveliest points for Fear right now.
Yeah, and I find the choice in Banshee's interesting. Yes, there's a lot of magic damage you're dealing with the Shockwave, but I was wondering for defensive options if he should go Zhonya's, because if you could get an engage on you like that and you just go into stasis, I mean, that could be huge in a crucial team fight. Maybe he'll do it after the Leandres comes through, but for the moment, we saw what happened. That spell shield, it's not doing very much. I'm going to be real when that combo comes through, Eric. So hopefully we see him index into that if the game ends up going that far.
Does seem like FlyQuest are playing this a little bit more slow now. They're giving a bit more respect over to Fear, as Fear have taken some of these more scrappier fights by the wayside of FlyQuest. So FlyQuest no longer just running down Fear. It still has been a 5k deficit, but it has been that for about the last 5 minutes. Right,
but part of it is that Fear are playing very carefully. They got caught out a couple of times, but now there isn't the best opportunity for FlyQuest. They've done a really good job at dodging them and not really leaving a play open to them. So because of that, that's why we haven't seen as much action these last couple of minutes. Oh, Toasty. You're making me nervous, bro. But that's the reason things have slowed down a little bit. And that's not good for Fear, though, because that Dragon Soul is going to be up in a couple minutes, and it is the Hextech Soul, the most powerful one, so it's just an insane buff you're giving over to FlyQuest, meaning that even if this Baron doesn't go down, all FlyQuest needs to do is keep vision on it, make sure Fear don't get it, and then they can go ahead and take their prize in 3 minutes.
That's 3 minutes 30 seconds before that dragon does spawn. And we see if that team fight timer does come true, beatdown. would be an interesting one. I do think at least Fear are getting more into position to take a fight. You'd see the level 16s are starting to come online from Fear.
Right.
More specifically, Philip just got level 16, same thing with Toasty. So you're hitting some of the breakpoints that Fear need to get to. Again, just being behind in the game really does hurt.
And if Fear, even though see this big lead for FlyQuest, one good team fight for Fear could instantly turn this game around. Because think about the shutdowns that you'd be picking up if you got an ace or something close to it against FlyQuest. And on top of it, you'd be able to get the Baron for yourself. Yeah. So there is a chance for this game, small as it may be, to swing so wildly into Fear's favor. And it really just depends on how they play that next fight. But as time goes on, they're really only going to get this one chance.
Imagine you do get that kill on Shaden, 500 gold bounty. Be pretty nice. Someone like Lens or Toasty. Here comes the Paranoia going on to Chad. Only going to get the Fear on, so Paranoia used. Teleport going to be used. Toasty will show up, so will Surdy.
Okay.
5 men strong are going to be both teams.
Yeah, this is it. You have Lucian, you have Azir, you will be able to take this Baron relatively quick. When that combo is down, that's your only opportunity. So it's big of Chad to survive that, but a turn is going to have to come through. 50-50 is too risky.
Ooh. Here's one of the other things you have to deal with. The poke coming out from Sajed. It's adding up. That first piercing arrow was able to land onto 2. The Baron DPS does some work onto Fear. Gets them about half health. They don't want to risk this too much right now. Philip is going to try and play on the defensive for the rest of his team. Ooh, Philip's still standing there. World Ender is going to be used. He gets pulled right back in. Philip's able to reach out. Philip's still standing. He's still in there, man. He will drop a 1-for-1 trade thus far. Fear still have some life, but now Toasty is isolated. Oh, flashing forward is going to be Sajed. He finds Toasty. A shutdown onto Shaden, but it's going to be FlyQuest who trade up.
Now it's Lens who's on the run. He's going to be able to survive. And that honestly is a pretty nice fight there for Fear. Again, they're able to get work done when that combo isn't available, but they needed more. They ended up trading down. It's just the shutdown from Shaden that makes it kind of worthwhile.
Yeah.
But really, at the end of the day, it isn't enough because even though Shaden is 20 seconds till he comes back, and there's still plenty of time for him to get on the map. He has Paranoia back again, so he can join the Drake Pit very quickly out of base, especially when you consider it's the Hextech map.
I'm actually curious.
They got to do it again.
Did you see who that shutdown went to?
It was Lens.
It was. Oh, okay,
yeah.
That's good.
So that is good. You can see it. He's getting towards that 4th item. He is going to be in a pretty strong position. He just has to survive the next fight. He doesn't have barrier, but he does have flash. He could be a very likely target this time around instead of Chad. But basically FlyQuest, all they need is that first kill to come through from that combination. And that's what Fear want to avoid.
And it's showing you that if FlyQuest botch their engage, Fear are willing to capitalize. Fear are willing to jump at the opportunity to take the fight to FlyQuest. Dragon started up. This is going to be Soul for FlyQuest. Surdy's taking a lot of damage. Here comes the Paranoia looking for the backline. They're going right after Lens. He gets decimated. Out comes the Cataclysm, but Quad's going to be okay. He'll flash right out of that pit. And the rest of Fear still standing. They've been able to grab Chime. Now they get priority onto the Dragon, but they have no smite to secure it. No health on FlyQuest, however, to continue this fight. Still able to grab it. It's going to be Shaden, but it's going to cost him his life in the process. Now Surdy squares up. Will take down Toasty. Now going after Philip. The arrows fly because Sajed is still healthy and A-OK to bring the pain to Fear. One more auto to get the ace. Daption heads for the hills. It's going to be 4 down. The arrow does not land. FlyQuest get Dragon Soul. They take down 4. It costs them 2.
And you got to imagine that's just the beginning of the end. We called out Lens to see if he was going to be able to survive the engage, and he didn't. Think about how close that fight was. Had he been there, it could have made all the difference. But FlyQuest, they see their angle, and they take it, and now they have the Hextech Soul as their reward. A very powerful buff, and now we're at a point where they can just go ahead and start the Baron now, too. This is basically how these fights are going to go from now on, barring some kind of miracle.
Yeah, that was a big breaking point right there. Lens, he still has a slash up. That's how fast he went down right there.
Yep.
Still couldn't get away from this combo that has been so deadly from FlyQuest. Now even scarier as you have Dragon Soul. Nice little influx of gold from that last fight. And look at FlyQuest, they're heading for the big purple worm.
Yeah, all you have to do is clear out this vision. They're going to be able to go ahead and start that immediately. I don't think Chad is a great target for the all-in, and you just don't have to do it. At this point, Fear, they're on damage control, trying to clear as much waves as they can, get as much push as they can in case the Baron goes out immediately. But FlyQuest, because of how close that last fight was and how the next few could be, I'm kind of hoping for their sake they try to end this before the Elder. Because if a fight like that goes wrong, that's the game. There's still that small chance Fear could flip it.
You can see the way that Fly are currently playing. It's still around objectives and still around the map. Kind of less around sieging, so there's a chance this game still gets extended depending on when FlyQuest go for the next big play. You can tell they're fishing for it right now, leading with both Surdy and Chime. Now still, the engage going to follow onto Philip. Philip is caught out and isolated from the rest of the squad. But FlyQuest cannot get there in time. Same thing can be said for Surdy. Surdy's taking a lot of damage. Here comes the paranoia. They're going right after Lens. Lens is able to flash out.
That's a lot of damage.
Surdy. This is a chance for FlyQuest to fight back. One's going to fall so far. Philip on the floor. Same thing as Shaden is able to get down. Chad will grab that kill. Now going forward. Quad will find a killing spree onto Lens. Now Fear down their marksman. They still have Toasty. Toasty goes in onto Sajed. Sajed is able to flash away. Passive going to be used right onto the turret. Now some defense put up by Fear. But they lost 2 in the last team fight. Still, it was nice that they were able to get away from the combo of that Nocturne, but still able to chase down Lens and execute on that kill with FlyQuest.
It's still Fear. They're playing these fights out about as well as you can hope. The fact that Lens had to blow both the summoner spells and then was able to get a lot of damage. He is very strong on this Lucian at the moment. So, for Fear, this is basically how these fights have to go if you want to have the chance. But even though Lens ended up getting that kill or contributing to that kill on Shaden, actually, I may need to hold that thought because I think Toasty's in trouble. Oh.
Ooh. Oh, this is really bad. He is so far from home. And this is a Cassante on you.
Oh my god.
No, this is not the time to go down, Toasty. This is going to be a free Baron headed the way of FlyQuest. Your mid laner is down, and that could be the fatal air beatdown.
It just might be. He was so close to finishing that recall. Now he's out for 50 seconds. And as you said, the Baron is just going to go down. All Fear can do is push mid and maybe send someone towards that bottom lane. But soon FlyQuest are going to start knocking on their base. Because now they have a really good way to siege with this Baron buff. They're not even going for the recall. They're just going to send it.
Whoa, full send onto Philip.
Chime.
Philip pulls back in time. Chime almost taking the worst of that hook. Paranoia getting used. Hey, Baron secured.
Yeah, had he gotten that, I mean, I think they would just take in top inhibitor right then and there. But either way, you still have the Baron for a couple of minutes. Still a very powerful buff. And just in time, too, we're getting really close to when the Elder comes through. So not only will they have a chance to knock down an inhibitor, maybe 2, they're going to get all the pressure they need to choke out Vision on this bottom side so that it's just going to be a completely dark map for Fear. And they don't know what bush this Nocturne is going to jump out of.
Oh, no.
They don't even know right now.
Okay. They do see the Nocturne. They have an idea of the proximity of FlyQuest at the moment. But again, the Vision denial immediately out of FlyQuest. As you can see, that bot jungle has just been completely neutralized. Now Surdy still holding the line. That is why Fear are kind of making their angle towards the mid lane right now. You don't have vision in your own jungle. You can lead in with the minion waves to find a safe route towards this dragon. But it's Elder Drake, and you gotta act fast. Here we go. Chime, hook in. Chain of Corruption's gonna go through. It'll land a piercing arrow. Toasty's in a bad way, and Shaden will take him down over the wall with the all-out. Is gonna be Surdy. Goes after Philip. Fight continues. Chad is isolated in the Cataclysm, and Sajed will be the one to claim him. As Sajed looking to hunt down Daption. It's gonna be Philip who falls, and another kill. A double picked up by Sajed. And Lens. Ooh, how are you gonna get your way back to base? Sajed shows up and clears the ace.
And that's going to be the game. It ended up being a pretty long one at almost 40 minutes, but FlyQuest had Fear's number basically from the jump. And despite Fear's best attempts, they weren't able to survive that insane combo.
And there we go, final Nexus Tower going down, Nexus exposed, and game 1 belongs to the undefeated FlyQuest.
They're going to stay undefeated, Eric, because, wow. That was a pretty dominating game coming from them. I mean, Fear,
Absolutely.
From the beginning, they needed to get that early lead. We needed to see Chad try and generate leads for some of his laners. But honestly, once that play for the invade topside, what was going to be into the grubs, failed, it was pretty much downhill from there, even though we saw some bright moments.
Yeah, some bright moments that did come through from Fear. Credit to them, it did seem like they were adapting to the strategy, but it was far too late. That 5k lead went to 6.5k, went to the end of the game. So FlyQuest able to take game number 1 in our best of 3 Fearless. We're going to throw it over to a short break. When we return, we'll get into game number 2 between FlyQuest and Fear.
They said it couldn't be done. They said the world would never accept a cookie this long. Or a churro, and probably not a pretzel either. They also said, under no circumstances should those really long and delicious treats be wildly affordable. To which we said, but we already made them. And they are. Introducing the incredible new foot-long sidekicks. Get one at Subway today.